All right, folks, thanks to everyone for your patience today and waiting for us to get our group together. We actually have a couple more spokespeople who I hope will be able to make it before this little press event ends. Obviously, it was a little tricky to get into the State House today. So what we're going to do, yeah, come, please join us. So first of all, please be sure to look at those two pieces of paper that are on the table over there. We have a copy of the letter we'll be delivering to the governor, and also a list of all the spokespeople who are speaking today, where they're from, and some phone numbers. What we're going to do is I'm going to make some comments very quickly, and then we will turn over so you can hear from some medical marijuana patients, and then we'll open the floor for questions. And after that, all of us will gather as a group, we'll walk down to that elevator. We're going to get in the elevator, go down to the second floor, and deliver our letter. So that being said, my name is Matthew Allen, and I'm Executive Director of the Massachusetts Patient Advocacy Alliance. So this is the group of medical marijuana patients, family members, and caregivers that brought the Medical Marijuana Initiative to voters, and we've since been working for its implementation. I've been working on this issue since 2009. I've met literally hundreds of patients suffering with conditions like Lou Gehrig's disease, cancer, HIV, intractable seizures, and other serious disorders. These people are trying to get off addictive drugs, or they cannot tolerate existing pharmaceuticals, and they're just looking for relief of their suffering. Now at this point, lack of movement on implementing the law is becoming a serious public health issue. It's a quality of life issue, and at this point it's an issue about effective government and leadership. Since the law has been passed, patients are still being arrested. I know patients who've been robbed or assaulted while trying to get their medicine from the black market, and many of those are suffering without safe access. And so I'm here to speak on behalf of those patients going through those situations and those who are too sick to be here today. So why are we here? It's been 2 years since nearly 2 years since the voters approved the Medical Marijuana Initiative, and patients are no better off. And it's because Deval Patrick has not lived up to his responsibility to implement the will of the voters. At this point, the situation is scandalous. We're outraged, and we feel that the process is now been subsumed by politics before patients. And it appears the governor wants to try to skip out of office without addressing medical marijuana because he doesn't want to talk about it, and he doesn't want to deal with it. The state has failed on multiple fronts. First of all, the law required the state to register one dispensary per county at a minimum by last January to operate. And the registration means they were supposed to be authorized to cultivate medicine. And that hasn't happened. Right now we've got 9 dispensaries going through the process, or 11, but 2 are on hold, so we don't know if it's 11 or 9. And this does not represent safe access. The Department of Public Health came out a few months ago and said, we, by authorizing these 11, potentially 9 now dispensaries, have fulfilled the voters' mandate to offer adequate access for patients, because with these 11, now maybe 9 dispensaries, 97% of patients will be in 30 miles of a dispensary, and that's access. Anyone who's driven on the back roads of Massachusetts knows that 30 miles can be more than 45 minutes each way. An hour and a half of travel time does not represent adequate access for patients. The patient registration system, this is still not gone up. This is the system that basically works like a driver's license, so that law enforcement can quickly determine who is enrolled in the program and who is a qualifying patient. We were told by the Department of Public Health, listen, in regulations, DPH had a self-imposed deadline for this registration system. It was last December, or another date that they, if they chose to put it off, and they did. I heard from Department of Public Health last December that we were on the verge of doing screenshots and testing this system, and that it was about to go up. And then we were told it would go up in the spring. Well, it's still not up, and there's no reason for this delay. And because of this delay, patients are unfairly facing arrest, even those who are compliant with the law. The caregiver system has been effectively shut down by the Department of Public Health regulations that restrict each caregiver to go for only one patient. It's not cost effective, so caregivers cannot really provide medicine for one patient at a reasonable rate. The system should be at a minimum 5 patients the way it is Rhode Island and Maine. Again, this would be an avenue for patients to have safe access right now if Department of Public Health had not effectively shut down that program with these regulations. So the Massachusetts Patient Advocacy Alliance has bent over backwards to try to support the administration in moving forward. For a year after the law was passed, I went out to the community. Patient spokespeople went out and talked to other patients in community meetings and said, listen, this is a complicated thing. We need to be patient and give the administration time to implement this. We were in the media with the same message. We were up here at the State House with the same message. The Patrick administration is working on this. We need to be patient. On January 31st of this year, when the Department of Public Health came out with a list of 20 dispensaries that were to be registered to open, myself, some of the patients here today, stood in front of the Department of Public Health. Even though it was a month after the deadline for getting these things registered to plant seeds, we stood there and defended the agency and saying, listen, this is a huge step forward. It's been a little bit late, but finally hope is on the horizon. And then everything fell apart. Due to politics, the whole system was put on hold. So we came back, we were at the State House here in April, 5 months ago. At that time we said, okay, several months ago we got this list of approved dispensaries, but still nothing has happened. It's time to move forward. And we pleaded with Deval Patrick to get these dispensaries up and running and to change this caregiver regulation so that patients could grow for multiple, caregivers could grow for multiple patients, and that would be a means of viable access. You know, I was actually asked during that press conference, I think it was by New England Cable News, who do you blame for the fact that dispensaries are not open and we're still facing these delays? And I was very clear. We don't blame anybody. It's a complicated system we're trying to get up and running, and we're not interested in placing blame. Our point is that we need to move this forward because patients need this medicine. Well, 5 months later, we're here again. We're in the same situation, and there is plenty of blame to go around. And it starts at the Department of Public Health, and it goes up to Secretary Klonowitz, Secretary of Health and Human Services, and it lands right at Governor Deval Patrick's feet. So what happened between that April press conference and now? We made efforts to get in and see Secretary John Klonowitz and ask for progress on changing this caregiver regulation, just as we were talking about back in April. We had a meeting lined up in July. It was canceled at the last minute. We got a meeting in August. I went in with several patients and caregivers to speak with them. The Secretary refused to meet with the patients. I think we made a strong case about having this caregiver regulation change. Karen Van Unen, the director of the Medical Marijuana Department, did meet with our group of patients and caregivers, but the message was the same. It was be patient. This is complicated. You need to wait. And a follow-up call 3 weeks later, I was really hoping that we could finally be on the same page in terms of getting this caregiver regulation changed as a demonstration of how desperately patients need this medicine, and a demonstration of Deval Patrick's commitment to fulfilling the will of the voters. In that phone conversation, the message was the same. We're still considering this. We don't have an answer. We're not ready to move on this. And so that's why we're here today. We're done being patient. You know, there's a lot of people here for Recovery Day. Addiction is a very serious issue. And interestingly, the American Medical Association Journal of Internal Medicine came out with a study just last August saying states that have medical marijuana are seeing 25% less overdose. And that's no surprise to those of us who've known for a long time that clinical studies have already demonstrated that medical marijuana can help patients get off opiates and other dangerous addictive drugs. And it's not a surprise to any of you who were here on April 24th and heard from one of our advocates, Allison Jones, a nurse who has 25 fractures from a car accident. She was actually a good Samaritan, went to intervene to help someone.
The House now stands adjourned to meet on Thursday next at the hour of 11 a.m.
And then she was crushed when a Subaru flipped on top of her. My point is 25 fractures. Here's a woman who was on an extensive list of drugs, including Oxycontin, Percocet, Dilaudid, morphine, and has been able to use medical marijuana as medications. And like I said, that study found overdose deaths 25% less in medical marijuana states. But that's not a reality here in Massachusetts because Deval Patrick has not moved forward with getting this system up and running. I don't know if you folks looked at the Globe article that I mentioned in the media advisory about this press conference, but if you did, you know that in response to my litany of complaints against the administration, that reporter called over to Department of Public Health for an answer. And he was told, by a PR, some PR person within the administration, we want to take our time and get this right. So here we are, nearly 2 years from the date that the law was passed by the voters, and the administration, the best they can seem to do is come up with different ways to say, you've got to be patient, take your time. And it's not acceptable anymore. So we're delivering a letter to the governor today, and the letter is very clear about what needs to be done to get this program back on track. First of all, we need to begin a process before the governor leaves office to register another 50 dispensaries to operate. The number we have right now is embarrassingly small and not sufficient. This is something that the governor can do, begin an expedited process to register more dispensaries before he leaves office. We got to get this patient registration system up. What is the delay? It's the executive branch's duty to enforce the law. And in this case, Deval Patrick has failed to give the municipalities the tools they need to enforce the law and also to not go after patients who are complying with the law. We need this caregiver regulation fixed. We've been talking about this since the regulations went into effect. We talked about this during listening sessions about the regulations. And we talked about this when we were up here last April. If Patrick will fix the caregiver regulation, patients can have access today, just like they do through a viable caregiver system in Rhode Island and Maine. And finally, we've got to get these dispensaries open. We keep going on hold, going off hold, on hold, off hold. Enough. It's time to move forward. No more holds on the process. So this program can still be fixed. There's still time, if Patrick wants to fix this before he leaves office. We stand ready to work together. And if Deval Patrick does not fix the medical marijuana system, the legacy of his governorship here will be forever marred. So that's the basic background, and now we're going to hear from some medical marijuana patients, family members, beginning with Lisa Cole.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Cole, proud mom to our daughter Madison, and this is my husband Lonnie. We're here today because we are done being patient. What parents can idly sit by watching their child suffer every single day needlessly because the state they live in favors politics over patience? Mr. Governor, we demand access to the cannabis treatment that can save Maddie's life and all of the other children in Massachusetts who continue to suffer just like her. By this point in the day, Maddie will have had at least 20 seizures or more. And there is a high probability that she will have more during this press conference. You'll notice that she sits in a stroller because her chronic seizure activity makes it almost impossible for her to walk without falling down. Her stroller also helps support her body when a sudden seizure sometimes violently thrusts her head down to her chest and she stops breathing. At school, she wears a protective helmet and a walking harness just to make it through the day. Her development remains at the same level as the day the seizures first struck when she was only a year old. She remains nonverbal, and she does not understand how to play alongside her sisters or her peers at school. Maddie will be turning 6 years old next month, along with her twin sister, Kelsey. We should be planning an elaborate Frozen-themed birthday party fit for two princesses. As her mom and dad, it's a painful reminder that Maddie has been fighting these intractable seizures for close to 5 years. 5 years of treatment with pharmaceutical drugs that have harmful side effects and limited impact on her seizure control. 5 years of childhood stolen from our precious daughter. 5 years of being scared to go to sleep at night because of the risk that a seizure at night could possibly take her life. Mr. Governor, how can you expect us to be patient any longer? We hear countless stories of children with intractable seizures like Maddie finding success using a specialized cannabis treatment in states where it is legal today. It's been almost 2 years since the people voted to make medical cannabis available in our state. Why are we still unable to access a treatment through dispensaries that could ease Maddie's suffering and improve her quality of life? Why have you not addressed the issues with the caregiver regulation, which also stands in the way of us accessing this treatment? Please look at Maddie and tell her why you won't help get her childhood back. Thank you.